Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
Welcome back and thanks for joining me in the second lesson of Mandarin Chinese. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about Chinese characters. Just to let you know, this is one of the most complicated Chinese characters. So please do not feel intimidated. I will help you to break down the component of this character. For those who are curious, this word is biang, which is a type of noodle in China. With that said, I will cover the following topics. First, I will give you a brief story of Chinese characters, how it is evolved, and why it looks like what it is today. Then I will introduce you to the strokes of Chinese characters to practice with. Finally, I will discuss the components and arrangement of Chinese characters. This lesson is going to be very visual and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, in case you don't know, Chinese characters are placed in squares. So each word has an invisible square surrounded, which gives it a very neat, arranged and orderly fashion. So when these characters are placed in paragraphs, it has the invisible grid that is surrounding it. So how did we get to the characters systems we have today? The diagram here shows how. When our ancestors want to indicate fish, they draw something like this. And then slowly it changes until today it becomes a simplified character like this. And similar to car, which is the wheel vehicles in Chinese, it first started out like this. So you can see there are wheels and something pulling the car or wagon, like the illustration here. And then gradually it becomes the character we have today here. I'm just going to show you more characters here so you have a better feeling of Chinese characters. So here we have sun, and initially it looks like this one, and then slowly it moves to this, and then this one is moon, and you can see this is the half moon here. And then we have got fire, so you can imagine that it's a bonfire. So later on it became something like this. And then this is water, so you can imagine that this is a flowing river, so it has the water in it. And then the next one is goat, and you can see this one is the horns, and this one you can imagine is the face. And as we evolve it to what we have today, you can see the remainings of the horns over here. And finally it's the horse, and you can see in this horse we still have the 4 legs and also a tail, but today it's been simplified to something like this. And then another interesting example that I want to show you is turtle, because as you can see here, initially it has a head here, then a shell here, and a tail, and the legs, they are here. And today we have a word of turtle like this one. So I hope you find it interesting. And so the things that I've just talked to you about, they are the visual things that we can see. But what about some abstract nouns like origin, friends, or even adjective like good. To illustrate that, I have a word origin here, but to illustrate it, I have to begin with one Chinese character wood or tree, which looks like this one. So initially it looks like this. So you can see there are the tree branches and the roots over here. So it evolves as usual and become a word like this one. And to indicate origin, which means it's the root of things, we put an indicator here at the root here, which means the root or origin. So that's how the word origin comes from. And for the word friend, I like the evolution of friend the most. If you can see here, there are the two hands which goes in the same direction, and later on it becomes like they are holding hands together, so which means that friends are holding hands. So this is the how friend is evolved until today. And for Chinese word good is a combination of girl and son. So this is girl, this is son, and when it's combined, it becomes good. For girl, if you look at this one, you can imagine it as a person who is doing curtsy in Chinese style. So you may need a bit of imagination here. And for son, or it can also be said as a boy, you can imagine this as a baby which has his head and also the hands is protruding out and the body is being wrapped. So this is son or boy. So I hope that gives you an idea of why Chinese characters look like this, because they are all arise from pictures. So now we are going to break down the modern Chinese characters into the simplest form, which is strokes. We have many types of strokes, and we can have a simple dot here. So it can go from this direction or that direction. And the example is this one, the little dot on the top. And next we can have horizontal stroke, and we always write from left to right. So you can see there are lots of horizontal stroke from left to right here. The next one we have vertical stroke, which goes from top to bottom, and then downward stroke from top right to bottom left. So the example is from top right to bottom left here. And then we have from top left to bottom right. So one example is right here, from top left to bottom right. And we also have upward stroke, which goes from bottom left to top right. And this is one of the examples here. So from bottom left to top right. And then we have horizontal stroke with a small hook here. So the example here is pretty obvious, a horizontal stroke with a hook. Then we have the counterpart as the vertical stroke with a little hook here, and also the slant stroke with a hook over here. It's always from top left to bottom right. And here we have a horizontal stroke, but it has a downward turn. So it's from left to right, then downward. So the example is right here, from left to right, then make a turn from top to bottom. And we have its counterpart as usual. We have the vertical stroke first, then a horizontal turn to the right. So the example you can see is here. So from top to bottom, then make a turn from left to right. So these are all the strokes of Chinese characters. This looks quite a lot, but we will practice these in the next exercise, so don't worry. And next, we will talk about the order of strokes when writing a Chinese character. In general, we always start from the stroke from the top left corner. So this one is one of the strokes you've seen in the last slide. So it's coming from top right to bottom left. And then the next one, it's the horizontal stroke, so going from left to right. Then we move to the one below, and the same thing from left to right. And then the next one, we have a horizontal stroke from top to bottom. So we first write the one on the left, then gradually we write all the 4 vertical strokes here and down below until we write the vertical stroke on the bottom right corner. So the general fashion is to write the strokes from top to bottom, from left to right. And now when you are given a chunk of Chinese words, how should you read it? Actually, it's the same as how you read English paragraphs. So you start with the top left corner here. You start reading from this word, and from left to right. And after you finish reading it, you get to the next line, starting from this one, from left to right. So it's the same as reading English paragraphs. So from left to right, then top to bottom. But this is only for modern text, but for traditional text, we start with the top right corner. Then we read from this direction, from top to bottom in a vertical fashion. Then we move on to the next line, from top to bottom. So this is how we will read if the text is traditional. Okay, this is just for your knowledge. The next one is about the radicals and components of Chinese characters. So you have seen before that the adjective good is a combination of girl and son. And of course the other words are combination as well. So for example, we have flower, grass, tree. They have several components, as you can see here, and the arrangement can be horizontal and vertical. So you can see in a vertical fashion, it has the top and bottom here, and then within the bottom part, it has the left and right, which is the horizontal fashion. And then the next one, grass, the same thing. So it's just vertical fashion. It has the top part, middle part, and bottom part. So this is one of the arrangement of Chinese characters. And for tree, we have a horizontal arrangement only, so from left to right. But of course, we have those which just on its own, like one of the words here, wood, is the simplest form. Like the other words that you have seen before, like sun, moon, and I repeated here, wood. And if you have noticed, you can see that this component here is repeating for the 2 words here. So these are the things that is what we call radical. They are different for different types of categories of things. So for these 2 words, they are parts of plants, but they are not wooden part. So they have this common radical here. And if you can see the wood here, this is also one of the radicals. And it is commonly used in types of trees and some parts of the plants like branches and roots. So this is just to let you know that the radicals, we have many different types, and it's according to category of things, though the category may not be as obvious as it is. So this is what we know as radical. And this is all the possible arrangement of Chinese characters. So as we have seen here, we have the simplest form, and the example here is sun, moon, and wood. And then the next one is the horizontal arrangement, just left and right. So one of the example here is the combination of sun and moon. And then we have the top and bottom, like this one. Here is the top part, and here is the bottom part. And then other than these, we have enclosures. So for enclosures, it can have full enclosures. So meaning that this outer layer is wrapping the component inside. So this is full enclosure. Of course, we have partial enclosures, like this one is only wrapping in one corner, and this one has the top opening. So these, from 4 to 10, they are all enclosures. And for this one, this interesting one is composite. So the components, they are arranged from middle top, bottom left, and bottom right. So one of the examples is right here. Here comes the word biang again, but this time I'm going to show you how to look at the arrangement of this Chinese character. So we start from outside. You can see there's an enclosure wrapping the corner here. So this is the number 4 enclosure. Then we look at the things inside. So if you can see, it has the top to bottom arrangement. So this one is a top part, this one is the middle part, and the bottom part is right here. And within the middle part, you can see there's the left and right horizontal arrangement. So here's the left part, and here's the middle part, and here's the right part. And within this middle part, depending on how you want to see it, there is the horizontal arrangement and also vertical arrangement. So that's how the components of these Chinese character is arranged. So it's compounded. It is a combination of these many types of arrangements that we have here. Next, I'm going to talk about the radicals here. So if you look at the table here, there are all the radicals. And if you notice, the radicals are arranged according to the number of strokes. So you can see these are just 2 strokes, and gradually it increases until it becomes very complicated, like this one. So this has the most strokes within the radicals. Radicals are very useful in Chinese dictionary because we use them to look for words. And this Chinese character has a lot of radicals. So let's start by examining from the outer enclosure. So this one, the radical is right here. And if you look into this inside part, there is this one, which is right here. And then the bottom one is right here. And within the middle one, starting from the left, there's one here. And then from the right side, there is this one. and inside there is the other components, but there's only one of them is the radical here. So now you have known this word in terms of its arrangement and also the radicals that is residing within this character. So hope you enjoyed this session. It has a lot of information about the evolution of Chinese characters. It tells you about strokes and finally the arrangement and radicals of Chinese characters. But the important part that I want you to memorize are the strokes only, because I want you to understand how each stroke is being written. And for the rest, like the stories of evolution, it's for your knowledge and interest only. And for the arrangement, it's for you to understand the spatial arrangement of Chinese characters. So when you are producing these strokes, the components do not go everywhere. And the radicals, I introduced that to you because it is commonly occurring component and it is important as a part of Chinese character because in some way the radical is denoting the category of things of the word which you can partially guess what the meaning is. So that's a lot for today, but the next one will be an easy one. They are just exercises for strokes. So I'll see you in the next video.